Ready. You gonna tap? Okay, good morning everyone. It's Thursday morning and we're going to go through the Tai Chi Paradigm and 108 movement form. As I understand, May 18th is when Governor Baker is going to make his announcements to who can open, as the first phase. So we're kind of waiting for that announcement. But once they announce it, then we need to know who's going to be attending the school and coming back slowly. So we'll figure that out as soon as we hear more. So on that note, we're going to begin with the exercises, and anyone that's kind of tuning in for the first time will realize that we do at least 30 minutes of these fundamentals, and as we build off of these fundamentals, you begin to recognize the transitions, the body positioning. So a lot of terms I use like geometry of position of your feet, direction. So it's all tied to space, proprioception, and awareness of our body positioning. So, and then while we're doing the first set of exercises, really do limber up the body and get the body acquainted with turning in direction. So starting off with our feet in a 90-degree position and squaring up to the parallel shoulder width stance. We start off in one of these positions. So this is still a hoop, and we're going to turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Hands like this. This is mirror image. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, next, we're going to lift up about shoulder height. This is level. We're going to bend from the waist or the hips, stretch back of the legs. Then we turn to the right. I'm turning to my left. I'm turning to my right. You're turning to your left. Lift up. Inhale through your nose. And exhale. I'm going to do it again. Reach down. Stretch, relax, go as deep as you can. Let the muscles go. Release the tension. Turn one direction, then the other direction. And we're back to center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. You're moving down. Stretch. Then you're twisting to one side and twisting the other. So while you're in the stretch mode, you're still moving. So that way the muscle doesn't want to tense, or it wants to tense, but don't allow it to. Okay? Circular movements. Keeping the head still between the neck and your ankles are the parts that are moving. And reverse. So while we're making this circle, the body is just accommodating the space, but then your hips are actually allowing there to be a side stretch and then the forward and back. So this whole area is actually creating that circle. And it's not done fast, but it should be done complete. Okay, next, cross the forearms, reach down and hold the knees. Then we're going to make circles, keeping the knees and legs parallel. In fact, that's one of the reasons we have our hands crossed like this, to stabilize the width of the knees so that they can't vary. Okay. Some people do it like this, but actually you don't have the same control or the stability. So we do it like this. And then we're going to switch. And center. Okay, next. Hands on the waist, neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, center, tilt to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, center, down, circular movements, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, and center. Okay, hands up. Pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Now we're going to turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, we're going to turn, face this direction. Okay, stretch it out. Switch. 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 So in this position, keep the body as vertical as possible. You're going to stretch out here, and in this area, you can actually get the thigh. Now we're going to turn this way, straighten out this leg, reach down. Best you can, keep the knee straight, fold from the hip, and actually keep your back as straight as possible. Okay, switch. Exhale. Relax, release. Release the tension, keeping the back as straight as possible. Turn. One more time, switch. Okay, back to center. Lift up, shake it out. Okay, here's your deep breath. Deep breathing. Fold like this, elbows out, hands out to the side and down. That's the hand movements. When we go out, go up on your toes, and then gradually let your heel down and the hands meet the side of your leg. Okay, lift up, inhale, exhale. Now breathe through your nose, both inhalation, exhalation through the nose. tongue touching the roof of your mouth. So there's a lot of things happening, but eventually it just becomes, one inhalation, one exhalation. Okay, so from there we're going to actually hold our position like this, shoulder width stance. Okay, now when we turn, like we just did, it was really to loosen up the back. Okay, and then the stretching allows us to expand the legs and release the tension here that will actually help loosen up and release some of the tension in your lower back. Hands here. Now we're going to work the upper body, this area. So we just worked this area. We're going to work this area now. So we're going to create circular movements like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Now, hands like this, extended. You're pressing back with the palm and then letting it go, release, and press, release, and press. Now exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Now this is a little quicker breath. You're going to and stop. Hands up, pull in, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, now we're going to make circular movements like this in front of the body. The elbows and the knees work together. Okay, now we're going to reverse the direction. Okay, palms down. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3. Way up high. 1, 2, 3. Now, important thing is don't let the shoulders tighten up. Just let it go. Release. It's not done fast, but it should be full. Release. Let the whole body expand. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing again. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, so that first set of exercises, there's some stretching involved, there's some increasing of range of motion, which is, I think, very important, so that, by increasing range of motion and getting the body to learn to relax, it allows movements to be much more gentle. Otherwise, you'll have conflict in movement, and then it starts to get a little bit conflicted. So loosening the joints, especially the major joints, is critical, so that's what we're doing. So not only are we moving the joints, but we're also allowing the musculature to release and contract and release in the appropriate manner. Because if you don't move your musculature correctly, then your skeletal structure is not going to move appropriately. So what we're doing with these fundamentals is learning how to move our body. So this is so different from a lot of what people think as exercise. We're not building strength through resistance. We're building movement and range of motion and strength through integration of body and using the body the way it's designed to move. So I call it approaching naturalness of motion. So, building these motions also eventually will build what we started to do with some integration of body. So integration of body is unique from what a lot of people do in exercise, where they kind of isolate muscle groups to strengthen muscle groups, depending on what you're trying to do. Here, we're not building it in that way. We're building total body motion. So that actually is more functional, and at the same time, it's better for your circulation. It's better for your body, because you don't create a lot of the inflammation that you would doing something that's more physical, where you will do some straining with the muscles if you're working or overworking them. So this is important. Okay, then we work with balance. Now the next series of exercises is going to be working body form, which is some of the posturing, and then how do we get from one leg to the other by shifting of the weight. So when we're here in the shoulder width stance and we shift, this is actually the first line of finding your supporting weight. So that's your substantial leg. So we move across and we find this point. This is shifting the weight. So when we were doing all these bends and side bends, your hips do this and your hips. So your hips actually have to move in order for you to get over to this. So it's really your hip joint has to kind of allow your body to find its center. And the center point is really right where your spine reaches the heel of the back foot or the supporting leg. So in other words, when I shift, I bring my body from side to side, and you notice that there's no tilting. It just protrudes on this side. And then once I get to here, that's my center line, and that's where I'm going to go up or out or back. So this is a control factor. When we shift our weight, we're trying to find that position. So because we're doing it slowly, there's some sensitivity and awareness. So you're focusing on where that point is. And they're saying now, once you get to this point, even if you're touching down lightly with the tip of your toe, you could feel the foot working. You can feel the toes. You can feel all of that, kind of trying to figure out and check your weight. So that's how we work our training, so that we can develop that balanced position. So if you're prescribed Tai Chi for improving balance, this is one of the mechanisms that you can use to train your center. So this is standing on one leg. So this is a dual thing where you're going up and down with the leg. You're balancing, and you're also strengthening this lifting. Now, you also, when you lift, this actually does a stretch, and your upper body has to actually stabilize and allow you to lift this forward. So you lift from above, lift your body, and stand. So you're not in a bent knee position. You're actually in a straight knee position. Straight but not locked. Okay, so that's a golden cockerel. Okay, now when we're in this position, we lift the knee as the balance point. Now once we have that balance point, whether it's here, we can start to move our leg forward and back. Okay, so that takes us to the next exercise, and we're going to swing like this. So this is tracking your center line. If I put both hands here, you're going to find that both hands will be passing through this imaginary line. And this imaginary line actually starts here. It goes right through the body, sort of bisects the body, and you separate the hands. Now, if you're like this, there's your center line, but your center of mass is spread here, so you really can't move any of it. That's called 50-50. I call it double weighted. In Tai Chi, it's called double weighted. So you have to actually bring it here. So this is double weighted, but yet because it's close together, it's more of a singular position. And then when you put your leg out, you're balanced. So now if I do this and this, so what happens when you walk and you walk and you walk, go backwards, is that relationship. So this is what ends up happening. We do this. So while we're building integration of body, the relationship that the hands and the legs have is really how you begin to understand what center of mass is. Okay, now I'm going to switch. And I've been doing this so you can recognize that the hands and the legs actually have some kind of a relationship. So that's how you can improve your walking skill, improve your balance, and eventually, because we're doing gentle movements that require flexibility, you're going to soften your legs. Softening your legs actually will be helpful in prevention of falls. Okay, center, shake it out. Now we're going to go side to side, so the legs are shoulder width, but we have to bring it across like this. Now, crossing, you actually go opposite to counteract a motion, you see. Now switch, we start here and then let it go. When you let it go, the kick, the leg comes out and it crisscrosses like this. So you see there's equal opposite counterweighting of the movement. Okay, center. So there's a lot of things that the body is doing to compensate for shifting and not losing your balance. So your body will actually pick up on that over time. Now, if you have trouble doing these specifically because your balance isn't so great or your legs, so you use a counter or you use a chair, you can actually hold the chair like this and work one leg without actually swinging, just to work that motion so your hips get some physical action without being physical. It's very gentle in the sense that it's just going from side to side, swinging like a pendulum. So our arms actually just swing like a pendulum when we walk, and we don't just really use, we're not using a lot of force to do this. It's not a power walk. All right, deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So for anyone following, a lot of these look like calisthenics that a typical person would do as an exercise routine, but our intent, the consciousness of the movement has a different purpose. So conscious intent is something that happens in training of movement and in specifically Tai Chi type movements. So, it's important that while we're doing these exercises that seem to be so similar to many of the other things you do, camouflage within the movement are a lot of subtleties and a lot of physical behavior that is required when you're doing some of the posturing, some of the movements that require your position and to kick or to lift your body. So those will start to make a difference if you're actually doing these swinging of the legs, the stretching and so forth. That's all going to support everything you do when you start to do the form. And refinement comes from how well you do these exercises. So that's really kind of a tip to realize that it's not just the form. Okay, this is sitting back from hold the ball to forward. This is called silk reeling. Okay, so this requires a bit more integration of body and a bit more spatial awareness. The movements actually have quite a bit of volume. Volume meaning, three-dimensional movement, three-dimensional objects have volume, dimension. So when we're moving, we use that idea that we have to fill the voids that we're creating when we move. Now it's really 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we turn. So we really learn to manipulate and maneuver from all the different planes that we actually cross through. So the more nimble your body is, and the more coordination you have, and the longer you've been doing this, the fuller the movement's going to be. Okay. So it's forward and back, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And back. Okay, turn. So this is called silk reeling. It actually encompasses quite a few positions that will show up again in the form or in the postures that we eventually define. So this is really 1, 2, 3, 4, and back is just 5 points. So we have shoulder and hip, forward position, knee, arm over the knee, and this hand is here. Then we sit back and we're turning the hand. Eventually we have the idea of the movements compatible with direction. So your movements have to synchronize. They have to be compatible with the motion and what you're scribing in space. So essentially what we're building is coordination. It's a synchronization of body. Coordinated movements, like anything that's coordinated, moves smoothly. If you don't coordinate things, whether it's a task or even an idea, if you don't coordinate your thought, then the movements become chaotic. So you can see just by doing movements that require sequential events, then it's going to bring organization to the body. So that's essentially what happens. I use these terms, but these terms have relevance to many things that we do, because everything that we do in life is actually kind of based on this kind of an idea. Things happen sequentially. There's timing. There's integration. There's relationships. All of this really is sort of a philosophy in one way, but then at the same time, it's kind of a guiding tool to let us know how we should be moving. So here, we cross the arms. We cross the arms, right? So we cross the hands, keep the front foot, it's my right, your left, and we open like this. Cross, open, and close. Open and close. So open and close complement each other. It's expand and contract, expand and contract. So here's the idea of yin and yang, balance and motion, balance and idea. Switch, cross the hands, front foot's here, front hand is here, so it's on the same side. We cross, so as you notice it's on the outside. We cross and we open and we close. We rise and we sink. So that's another dimension. So multi-dimensional motion has to do with, can we track all of these things? That we're going right to left, we're going up and down, we're sitting back on the rear leg, we're going up and down. Now if you're doing the kicks in 108 movement form, this could be one way of practicing the balance and building some strength in the supporting leg and sustaining it and moving while you're doing it. So this hand movement is actually the opening movement when you do the kick. And we're back. Okay, next, feet shoulder width. Preparation. Everything is parallel and square. Sink the elbows and press. Okay, so that's preparation. Now you notice you sink your elbows and the knees. There's a coordination where the elbows and knees are working together. So there's that idea of building harmony in the body. So the harmony is built into your joints, the major joints. I call them the primary movers. It's your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrists. Okay, so that gives you an idea how the body has to build that synchronization. Now the next we're going to do the geometry position, but stillness. So this is the first position. Okay, it's holding a ball, or actually it's holding the hoop. Okay, so we're in this space. We're going to do the lower hoop. As the first position. Clear your thoughts. Tongue touches the roof of your mouth. Try to straighten or feel your spine as vertical as possible. Chin tucked in slightly. So you clear your thoughts and you gaze in a direction, maybe 6 to 10 feet in front of you, looking slightly down. Don't look up. Okay, just pick a spot, and then we're going to move the hands up to about shoulder height. Let the arms float. Breathe naturally through the nose, tongue touching the roof of your mouth. That's position 2, shoulder height, elbows down. Okay, in this position, your knees are slightly bent. So ankles relax, hips are releasing. The coccyx area, tailbone is actually plumb. It's vertical. Now we're going to lower the hands and then turn the palms down and lift. Elongate the spine. Lift from above as if suspended from above, is that's what they say. So you're feeling like you're hanging like a puppet. Our palms are down, arms are extended but not locked, knees are extended, not locked. Okay, now the fingertips point down, like they're thrusting down. Okay, next, hands deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, so you can feel your fingertips sort of tingling a little bit, and your fingertips will swell a little bit, because even though you're holding positions, there's still a certain amount of activity going on in the musculature. There's some tonus in the musculature to maintain these positions, and it's your musculature kind of building that muscle memory and also tweaking whether you should be contracting or relaxing, contracting or relaxing. And that becomes a sensation, and that also becomes sort of building the position as far as muscle memory, but also a muscle memory that determines how much strength you should actually be using. So the longer you do this, the more sensitive your body becomes, and the more mindful that movement becomes, and then it knows over time to avoid any excessiveness. So your body will learn to delete erroneous tension and excessiveness. So that happens over time. All right. Okay. Now we do deep breathing again, and then down. Inhale and down. Now we're going to do a few of the postures. Now this one's called diagonal flying. Similar, I think, starting off like silk reeling, but it's more in this plane of movement. It does have corner to corner, but we don't turn all the way around. So this is just in this direction. So every posture is a final position. So you have to define that final position. So a final position is just like what we were just doing in a holding position. That's like a final position. That's a final position. So that's learning a position that allows you to define what a posture is and finalize that. So finalizing is reaching the end without overreacting and over tensing. So if it reaches a point, say it was, in a yin and yang idea, it can't reach 100%, but it reaches close enough. Then it makes its change. And you're here. Elbow is here, lower hand is here. And you're leaning, gazing at the lower hand. Other side. So the idea of shoulder and hip and hands slicing past each other is really part of expanding the movement and shifting the weight to the forward direction. So if you didn't notice by now, what we're doing is filling and emptying the legs. And that means to bring weight to one side and then weight to the other side. Okay, shake that out. Deep breathing. So that's a movement that happens in the form right near the beginning. Okay, next we're going to do the cloud hand movement. So I'm going to face this way. So the hands are just going to go do this. Now, before we did this exercise, now we're going to do it on the right side and then the left side. Right side, then the left side. And then we're going to move from side to side so you can feel a little bit of weight going toward the side that you're moving in. Then we're going to actually shift the weight over enough to feel our body moving. So that's really developing and feeling the substantial leg. Okay. So gradually building sort of this body intelligence that allows you to know that your body is traversing across and it's going to reach a point of stability. And then you can actually switch to feet. And then you would step out. So this is the footwork in cloud hands. So that relationship allows you to move from side to side. And it allows you to develop this balance in position. Okay. So at any phase within the movement, there is going to be, if you pause, a relationship that becomes kind of more of something that happens over time. But your body will start to recognize the phasing of those movements. So people that have been following it or have been learning or you know the form, those phases will continually evolve beyond sequence. And once you get to that point, then your body will become much more astute to a lot of the things that's happening. So the mindfulness, the consciousness of your movement really comes into play. So I bring a lot of these footwork type things in because, by the time you finish the exercise and learn the form and then try to cultivate and perfect it, all of that takes time. So this is part of the verbal transmission that if you hear this information, you begin to understand more and more why doing these things a certain way makes a difference. So if you start to build your balance, then you don't need to go all the way into the form before you discover that. So we can start to build that understanding earlier by practicing these simple drills, and then over time, that becomes part of the intrinsic motion inside the form. It becomes innate. You've already started the foundation of standing in a position. You develop a shoulder width stance. You develop a single-legged position. You develop the understanding of shifting a weight from side to side. So all of this stuff is going to be supported and reinforced as you do your form, and your improvement is going to come from this control. And a lot of things that we do is learning to release the tension in the body, so when you move, it's not going to be as conflicted. So conflicting movement is really, tension. You need to be relaxed in order to move. And then you start to build, a better understanding. Okay, now we're moving on to the cloud hands to what? This is carry tiger to the mountain. So we're back to lower hoop. Maybe this side works better if people want to see the hands. It goes up, all the way up to eye level, and then out. Then we drop the elbows and we cross, and we lower the hands. So what are we doing? We're building transition, but also looking at the geometry of position. So the circular position, the hoop is here. It passes through all the way to about eye level. Then you turn out. This hand position is pretty close to stork flaps wings. And then when you drop your elbows and you create this arc and you merge right in front of the solar plex, you're on your center line, and then you continue downward to here. So this is called carry tiger to the mountain. So that's the points of interest there that allow you to pass through. But here, when we do these exercises, once I've finished describing them, you should just run through them and develop a flow and allow the body to assimilate the motion. Okay, next, we go right about where the sternum level is, or the solar plex. We're going to do the infinity sign. It's a figure 8. If you're tracking the movement, you can see there's 2 pedals, one on each side. You're panning out and you're coming back in. You're panning out and coming back in. 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, and out and in. Okay, now hands like this. Fold the fingers in, roll the wrists, form the fist, and punch. Okay, so that's forming the fist. Divert is the infinity sign. Divert and block, form the fist, and you combine it to is divert, block, and punch. Divert, block, and punch. So the punch happens on your right. I'm doing the left. And that gives you an idea that that's actually a transition and a posture inside the form. So while we're doing all of these movements, we're building some of the transitions and defining the name of those different positions in the form, which are postures. Okay, then once we do that, we're going to bring our hands to here and fold the elbow. Okay, so this is on your center line. This is your strum the lute position from the mirror. You can see the hands do that. So you see the mirror. So my right hand slides down, my left hand slides down, and we replace and build from side to side. So you see the movements are within a certain space. So you see the movements, track the movements, and look at the space. Okay, once you're separating like this, which hand do I have up? Left. Which hand do I have right? Right side. Up is right. So when this hand is up, this foot would typically be out. That's strum the lute. If this hand is up, that's strum the lute. Left side, other right side. So I'm doing it toward the mirror so you can follow me from behind. So that's strum the lute, right and left. Okay, so if I'm on the right side, remember the right toe is up, fingertips up, thumbs up. Okay, palms together, and we alternate the shoulders. But because we're learning this and working the shoulders, we do it in the shoulder width stance, building upper body motion and then tying it together with the legs once we begin to build the form or transition. So this is this side. Okay, just recapping that position. If I pivot, I'm here. Okay, I'm here. And that really stems from here. Now here I can actually go forward as a horizontal elbow or back. Forward as a horizontal elbow and back. I could toe out and step through. Now I have the opposite position because we've been working this. The opposite position actually is the position you're in when you're doing brush knee. So a lot of these things, if you haven't done the posture yet, will be a little confusing. But if you've done the posture, that hopefully will give you some clarity in which side is which, and that should be helpful. Okay, now go back to center. Turn, draw the bow. Turn, draw the bow. Turn, draw the bow. Okay, so this is aligning the body to the side. Turn, draw the bow. I'm pausing so you can feel the alignment and the body position. The body moves and then resets. So resetting is that end position. Okay, let's drop it down, bring the hands like this. If we bring the hands up like this, and so this transition is opening again, but this is upper opening. Now we spread the feet, we have upper opening through fan through the back. Now for those of you in the 108 movement form, and we do the kicks, and the elbows go out, that helps you get your hands up high enough. So if you want to balance the movement, your elbows have to go up in order for them to go down. If you're doing it here, then that's how it's going to be, right? So you have to lift. So fan to the back is this, but take the transition and build the body form and the idea of direction. Now I'm going to close the feet and raise the hand. Okay, shake it out. A couple of deep breaths. Okay, so without going too much into the detail about movements, sizes, and so forth, size does matter as you continue to follow the videos and the live classes. I'll address some of those things, but size does matter because size is proportion. So when you're doing your movements, there's a proportion, the proportionality to the size of the movement relative to your body. So, what determines that is the length of your body, so the limbs, your legs, the width of your shoulders. All of those become proportion. So we'll deal with that when we get to that point. But right now we're going to go through the sequence for the people that have actually completed this form. We start on the left and we move to the front and back. Turn the corner. Right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. So grasp the sparrow's tail is 4 movements. We hook the wrist and turn toward the front. We move, open, and here. Palm side in and down, across, and level. Shift, diagonal flying. Shift, step up, press forward, step up. Here's passing through center. Shoulder width to raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings as we turn back to the front and pivot to the left direction. And now we're in the left stance with the right side push, brush knee 4 times. This is strum the lute, close the door, form the fist, and punch. Divert, block, punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Neutral position, turn, fist under elbow. Neutral position, forward, backwards, repulse the monkey. This is done 3 times. One leg at a time. We move the hands, we move the legs, we turn the torso. All of these things become a sequence of events, and eventually your body memorizes it. Diagonal flying, sit back to center, insert the needle, step forward. This is fan through the back, turn, stroke down, parry and punch. Step forward and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger, springs to mountain. Now we carry tiger to the mountain again, going to the corner. Then we're going to cross the forearms, left hand to the outside, so your left side as well. This isn't mirror image. This is actually following me. Now I'm turning to the left. Left side grasps the sparrow's tail. Left side single whip. Open the stance to single whip, and we're going to hold the ball, reverse the ball, diagonal flying. Sit back. Stroke down, bring the backhand over the top, hold the ball, part the horse's mane. Step up. Neutral, stroke down, hold the ball, part the horse's mane. Cross over, forward, that's your horizontal, vertical, upper horizontal, Jade Lady work shuttle, cross over, forward, back, forward. Okay, we drop the elbow, hook back to the front. We're going to do a set of cloud hands, and we're rolling from foot to foot, heel, toe, toe, heel, heel, and we continue pivoting, T-stance, hook your wrists, open, single whip, hold the ball, and close, and we turn out. And we sit back and bring the hands forward, and finish. Close. Deep breathing, inhale. So that's the complete Tai Chi Paradigm form. We go through it. We went through a lot of detail with the warm-ups. Now, I think we've got a couple of minutes. So we're going to do the opening movements in the linear direction for the form. So people that are learning it, you can see that this is your first movement. Now we always adjust before we step up. So we start with the left. Here's your neutral. Here's your round out, and you press. Let's step up. Now I'm not doing the mapped out form. We're just letting you look at each of the postures as they appear one at a time. And here's the second one. So we're in vertical, we're in the right stance, horizontal. If we separate the hands and go back toward the navel, and then up toward the front. That's grasp the sparrow's tail. 4 movements. Okay, so let's just do that again. So from here, after preparation, we shift the weight, adjust the foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, hold that, sustain that position. Step up, get to the right foot forward position. Drop your elbow, bring your right hand down, bring your left hand to center, and replace that hand. Now you're on the right side. Thumbs up, press forward. Adding 2 movements, pull back, inside hand up, push forward, and you're in the front position, weighted on the front, hook your wrists, and then you're back. Okay, so when we go forward and back, that's a leg movement. To work the legs a bit, if we turn like this, that's how you would go back and forth, back and forth. If we go back to front and we work the other side, you're on the right side now, and you go forward and back. So you alternate the knees. That's a real fundamental. It happens throughout the form. So this is critical. This is very important. If you're trying to improve your balance, you first have to get that relationship between the knees working together. Because when I shift like this, is more hip. When I bend my knees aren't really responding the same way as when I'm here. Okay, so that's something you have to build, because you have to relax the joints in the lower half of your body on each side, and that will help your footwork. And then as you build your sequence, grasp the sparrow. I'm not adding a lot of torso movement here for anyone that's just learning, because it's enough to learn a sequence. So when we're here and we open the stance, here's the horse stance. Okay. Now you see my hand position. This is here. If I was square, it would be like this. If I turn my body 45 degrees to the corner and I bring this to the opposite corner, this is called single whip. Okay, single whip is this posture. Hold the ball is this. So holding the ball is a position. Okay, we do it typically before diagonal flying. It happens a lot in part the horse's mane. In fact, that's the setup for those 2 postures, diagonal flying, part the horse's mane, and vertical to horizontal is the setup for a lot of the other postures. So it's good to know those beginning positions, because that's going to take you to the next position. So all of this is really building the fundamentals. Vertical, so horizontal is a term I use, but it's really elbow out. Okay, vertical position is really elbow down. So between elbow down and horizontal elbow, starting and transitional movements. Okay, now moving on to the 108 movement form, there were some things that we've been working on, especially the kick. So I'm going to go over the kicking movements first, actually from the hand movement. So if we're in single whip and I turn like this, there's your lower hoop. So the geometry of your position, this is lower hoop. I'm in an empty stance. So empty stance is this as well as this. So in this position, I'm here. So you see this hand is just moving from here to center line, and then this is scooping to center. Okay, so it's not like this. It's like this. And then when I turn my hands over, it's setting up for the first position on the other side, and I fold like this to bring the hands down. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. I'm in this folded position. 1, 2, cross. And then I'm in this folded position as I go forward and open. Then the hands flip over. Then I fold like this, and I end up on this side. I lift my elbows, I lift my knee, and then I kick. And then this hand comes down, and this resets to here. Second time, it just goes straight down, cross the forearms, step forward, fold the elbows so that I can open them up like this. I reverse the cross hands, fold the elbows as I sit and twist step, and then I end up in this position. I lift my elbows. That's like doing fan to the back. I lift my elbows, and then I'm going to kick and then hold that position. So those are the first two kicks. If you can get those two kicks squared away, then the rest of it is really similar. The first and the fourth kick hand movements are exactly the same. The difference is that the fourth one takes you to beat the tiger. So when the fourth one, and we do this, and we turn, instead of doing the right instep kick, we're over here. And then we pan out like this. Then we have to cross behind like this. Then we open the stance, pass through center, and then turn to the corner. We drop the elbows. We turn to the back. Drop the elbows. And it's almost like Jade Lady Work Shuttle. But the thing is, it's the arm position and the fist position that allows you to beat the tiger. Okay, now I'm going to drop it to lower hoop, cross the forearm, level the elbows. That's elbow out, horizontal elbow, heel kick, lower. So this is lower, 2 punches to the ear. Okay, so that's between the first and second kick, fourth kick with the beat the tiger. Those transitions should be, memorized and understood so that when you go through the kicks, you're not trying to memorize another 1,000 transitions because this is actually the process. So learning the first two, turn. So this just gets you in a starting position, all right? This is actually the movement. Okay, so now we're here. So this hand movement is a starting position for the first kick, but it's actually the second step in the first kick. So in other words, we're just going like this. Okay, and it's in the opposite leg. So let's make sure we know, kind of define what happens there. There's one. There's just set up because we went from here to here. Okay, so consider that 0. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, 6. And then here, we're going to this position, opposite side. Before we were like this, and then we reversed. Now it's opposite. So that's 1 for the first kick. When we're here after the kick, and we get to here, this becomes 1, and it just goes on top. Okay. The first time, that became 1, and it goes on top. The second time, that becomes 1, and it goes on top. So to balance the two sides, the first one has this starting position. So don't include that as the setup for the first kick, because if you do that, then that's where I think is the most confusing part. So in other words, when we go like this as a setup, we can actually go like this. And then that initiates it without that setup. Okay. But in the setup, when we turn, this actually allows you to create another action so that you don't leave a void here. You see, there's a void there. So on a functional side of it or a technique side, you would not want to do this, turning there. You would want to do this, 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 and then that. So that's just something that is transitional that I think is important to have in there. Whereas when you go to the format of the kick, you actually have that extra movement with the first pivot. So you see that's what separates the difference. Now here's one, and it goes right on top, cross, fold, and kick. Here's one, it goes right on top, open, flip, fold, and then you do the heel kick, toe kick. And then because we typically would turn, you would end up like this, and you fold. So we don't have any reversing on the third kick. We just fold, and we do the heel kick. Now the heel kick is right off the left side at the front, because when we turned, we got the right hand on top, and we folded, and you would have your third kick. Now the third kick it's on the back side, so when you're here, you have to pivot around to the other side, and that allows you to do the heel kick on this side. So hopefully that kind of clarifies those two. And then just going back to after the kick, you have a series of movements, including the planting punch. So we did a planting punch, then we would step up, okay? And then we would go, well, we step up and then we cross. Like this would be the left kick. But because we did the planting punch here, we turn, we do the parrying punch, and then we step up, and then we do just like we just did with the first kick. So with the planting punch, we reset just like the first time as 0, and then begin the hand movements. Okay, so you see how the first kick and the fourth kick, or the first movement would beat the tiger, would be the same hand movement. Okay, so hopefully, okay, I'll finish that. Come down, turn, make your fist, sit back and pivot, lower the hoop, cross the hands, heel kick, 2 punches to the ear. So you can just leave the hook here and do this, or come down, press, and then come up as another minute transition. But, there's a lot of detail there, but your body over time will start to pick up. Hopefully that clears that up and makes it a little easier for people that are learning to kick. Now, someone had a question on downward posture, right? So, say from single whip, we move to this position. Okay, so that's your single whip position. This is moving to center, right? When we turn, 1, 2, 3, and then we have snake sticks out tongue. Okay, so snake sticks out tongue, if you're doing Yidhimon, it's kind of that thrusting like this, right? So when we're here, we intercept and we move forward. And then the hands, this is out front, so this intercepts here. Then this draws back, and then this attaches to the elbow. Then you turn. And then you're holding, imagining the wrist here and the elbow here, you would pull down. So you would pull down. Now, in the form, we pull down and then come back up to golden cockerel to pass through here. But the thing is, the pull down is to train your legs to go to a deep stance. When you pull down, you actually only have to go to here as a technique. Because if you go all the way down, then it's really, you're going to be really breaking the continuity of the movements. Because if you pull down and you come up, you would want to come right from there quickly as a technique. So the downward side is really to build flexibility and strength. And there's some visual characteristics there that is appealing for the form, aesthetic-wise, to give you that idea of a downward posture. So When we're here in a single whip and we turn, we're here. 1, 2, 3. So the elbows have to maneuver, but your body's turning sideways because we're turning like this. And then in order to recapture the hand or reverse the direction, this is taking the arm and then flipping it over. So if it was my arm, it would be flipping it over like this and then pulling me down like this. So you can imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, here you're going to cross, lift the knee, and draw. Now, from here, you're going to step down, press, and thrust. So this is like this, but with a palm up. But when we do this, we want to kick and then pull with this foot back and draw, okay? And then we go back to neutral. Then we do the repulse the monkey. So those are, the downward posture and the golden cockerel combination. So when we're here, single whip, 1, 2. So first time I did, I went 1, 2. But when we're here, your hand actually is tying into the next movement. So there's some right and left integration of the body. And then here, you have to fold and then pull back, press down, kick, and pull back. Then we're going to go to the back stance and repulse the monkey. Okay. So golden cockerel leads into repulse the monkey. Fist under elbow leads into repulse the monkey. So that's sequentially those two ideas. So that's something that you just have to practice. And, this and this is the hand movement. And this is combining it. So when we move, we end up like this. Okay, so I just combined these two and this, because obviously when you go like this, then you go like this, and then it changes. So the fluidity of movement, actually all that starts to blend in as your body becomes more and more familiar with the timing. See, the timing is a phase of movement that when your body starts to recognize vertical to horizontal to vertical, you see the body form and the position has the geometry and the structure integrity of position, because all of this becomes the structure, and your structure is your skeletal structure. So the framework of your body becomes the framework of those positions, and those positions become something that you struggle with to try to perfect. So what you're building, and that's why I consider this sort of, the best thing for developing motor skill, because everything we're doing is tied to motor skill. Different from just holding positions. There's a lot of disciplines that just hold positions, and your body, I guess, can develop some muscle tone and positioning and some strength, but it's not functional like this. The functionality of movement that we're developing here is tremendous, because we actually should move like this to do certain tasks. You really have to integrate the two sides of your body as a relationship for you to actually be efficient and natural in motion and effective. So the effectiveness of your movement really comes from how gracefully and naturally you do it. So now let's go from here to the rest of the form. This is the obliques. So we go to the front corner, we cross the hands, and we go to the oblique position for the brush knee right side. And then we go forward, And then we turn the waist so we can wind it up and turn. Then we turn. Brush knee, left push, back to the right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. Once you get to the finish, say, the 108 movement, you should start to begin to integrate the body more, and you start to turn your waist a lot more. Because without the waist, you really can't integrate the legs. So you notice this is actually pretty close to what we did with this. So you can see this is really slicing out and then coming back to fist on the elbow. And then we reset the center and then start to go backwards. Repulse the monkey. And it's done 3 times. Carry tiger to the mountain. And you're really opening this stance so that you can scoot down into the horse. And then you shift. Then we shift. And then we move forward. See, once you've adopted the principle of passing through your center, then you don't really have to sustain it and stop as long as we do when we're first learning it, because it's all a pass-through. Then we're at single whip. Hold the ball, and then we do a set of cloud hands. And here we are with that set of kicks. Lift the knee, toe kick, and then we're here. See if you can figure out the hand movements. Now we're going to kick and turn. This is the heel kick, right hand on top, fold and heel kick, and then we have 2 brush knee. And we go back, and we go to the left side. We have 1 on each side till we get to the planting punch. And we fold the elbow and then do this. Okay, now we turn. Hand's going to go on the inside here. Adjust your foot for parry and punch. And then we're going to start off again, just like the first time. So hopefully you've sort of captured that idea. Jade lady works shuttle, but actually it's beat the tiger. You always have to shift your weight to make your next maneuver, because the upper body and the lower body have to connect in order. So this is your parting leg. Your upper body and the lower body have to connect by the twisting and turning of your body and spine. So your waist actually becomes part of that movement. The parting leg really requires some hip flexibility, so that's something that you have to work on. Just divert, block, and punch again. and repeat this. Okay, we're going to go down. We're going to carry tiger to the mountain, and then we're going to do the obliques again. So we're going to go through the obliques. So this is sort of a repeat right from the beginning. So you should know this. And we're going to turn back to the front instead of stopping in the oblique corner, because we have, as I mentioned, this diagonal flying on the right side before we do the part the horse's mane. And we do this 5 times. There's 2. Go to neutral, stroke down here. Then we just pass through. Actually, there's only 1 on this side. All right. Then we step through. And there's 1, and then 1 more. Total of 5. Now we cross over to that corner. Jade Lady work shuttle. There's 4 of these. And we spin. Try to complete your rotation in the legs in order to complete the movements. And then we start here with 1 part the horse's mane. And we're going to crisscross over again. Jade Lady work shuttle. And we turn. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Cloud hands. And then we're going to be actually repeating what we just did with the downward posture. So I'm just rushing through the cloud hand because I think time is of the essence here. Now we turn. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I exaggerate the movement so you can see the hands and the legs. And then you're back to neutral. And you're going to do the repulse the monkey again. So you see, Tai Chi is leg work. It's a tremendous amount of leg work. And in the beginning, it's pretty strenuous if you're not used to doing a lot of these movements. But actually, as your body adapts and accommodates, you're not using the same physical strength that you would do, or at least that you would think you were doing. So that's where there's mind over matter. This should be familiar to you. And then we step forward, just like in Tai Chi Paradigm. Step up, divert, block, and punch. Step up, grasp the sparrow's tail. That's just stepping up is advancing forward. And then you had your 3rd set of cloud hands. And then we're at the palm strikes face. And we're at the single lotus kick. Here. Brush knee. Punch down the crotch. So I'm kind of really just getting through the sequence so you can see closing movements will happen after we do the second downward posture. So this is the last phase of the movement, the form, actually cross hand. And I think we have to close, so I'm just going to go through, here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and we're here. Closing the form. And okay, so on that note, that got a little quick, but the thing is we had to finish it up. Sometimes I didn't want to end up cutting it off. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe at YouTube, CCMA live stream.